missed it by that much.
Just paint.
It's gonna fall right through.
Put it in the seat.
Sitting since 1985. Came from California. Went to go swap an engine. Went from 6 volt to 12 volt. They never got the 12 volt to work. And then it sat. Till we came along. Let's see if it'll run. It may not work from back there.
Good.
Hey guys, and how's it going? Hey, we're going to continue on this 58 Beetle that a friend of mine and I dragged out of the woods this past summer. Quick little backstory on it and we'll get right into wrenching. So the previous owner lived in California. It was a California car. I know it doesn't look it. And they towed it behind, I think it was a Camaro, because the bug was dead. And they towed it all the way from California to New Hampshire behind a Camaro. Yes. Anyway, they did an engine swap, and it is what the story I got on it. And when they did the engine swap, the engine was locked up and they kind of gave up on it from there. Pushed it into the weeds in the back, and it sat there ever since till Brian and I came along and dragged her back out of there. So on the previous video, we went and got it out of the woods, got it here, got all the crap out of it, and kind of went through it and cleaned out best we could and gave it a quick assessment, and then kind of left it there. So we're going to go continue on. And what, like I said, the engine was locked up. They kind of gave up on it. The car's got a ton of rust, but it's not rusty in the areas that our New England cars normally rot out. The ass end was really down in the mud, so the back of the car got the worst of it. Is that going to stay? Of course not. Anyway, so the front of the car looks pretty decent, but the back of the car is pretty boned out. I actually kind of like the way it looks. I like the different colors and everything that are on it. Hey, don't judge. So anyway, we're going to go and put it up on the lift. Let's go take a quick peek underneath it. We haven't done that yet because it hasn't been on the lift. The back wheels are locked up still. And see what we can do about getting the engine to free up, or what at least caused it. It also came with another engine that was sitting in the car. That is sitting over here on a pallet. And I don't know if that's the one they took out or they planned on putting another one in it. So I think that is a 40 horse that was in there, and that would have been a 6 volt. The car would be a 6 volt car too. And that has a meaning. I'll show you a little bit later. Here's the seats that were in it. Here's the nest material that was all throughout the whole car. And then all the crap that we cleaned out of the center of it. There's the plates that were California plates. All right, let's get the lift up in the air and take a peek. All right, let's go see what we got. Those areas of the car, like you can even see where the undercoating is peeling, and right behind it is just straight paint. You would not find that on a New England car, even in the like the wheel wells. Yeah, can you see back in there? I'll show you more up front. But the back of the car, well, it was touching the ground the whole time, and it definitely shows. No muffler is on it, so weather did probably get into the boars and critters and everything else. No heater boxes on it, so it's going to have nothing on the other side neither. Heater boxes are another half of the exhaust, which is that right there. That is missing. Pushrod tubes don't look totally gone. That one's got some dent in it. She's definitely been in the weather. Let's go take a look at the rest of it. Floors are gone in the back because that's where it was touching the ground. But as you get towards the front, you'll notice these original floors, they are still good. They still have floor halves. I have them. You could put just the rear sections in. Everything else looks fairly decent. It's got scaly rust on it, but like this is usually gone. And you can see there's still original paint still on there. Same with the fenders. And then where was it in the wheel wells? Yeah, you could peel the undercoating back. You could see how all that are usually gone and replaced probably about the first 5 or 10 years on a New England car. So it has its pluses and its minuses. You know, all depends how you want to look at it. So back to the engine. That's our main goal, is this. So what happens with early and late VWs, let me pop over on the other side, is an early VW, 66 and down, or 66 and older, is a 6-volt car. 67 and up is a 12-volt car. My thought is that when somebody put this in, they did not realize the difference between the two of them, because on a 6-volt car, the flywheel is smaller. On a 12-volt car, it is bigger. You can put a later engine in a early bug, but you have to clearance the bell housing. My thought possibly is that they did not do that, bolted the engine up, and then it would not turn, and then just kind of gave up from there. That is a guess on my part, and I think we have to pull the engine out to go figure out if that's the case. The other thing that's kind of a tell too is that there's no exhaust on it. Usually all that stuff would be all buttoned up, and the fact that it looks like somebody just tried to go put it in, like the nuts are even still sitting there. Unless they stole parts off of it for another car, but who knows. Yeah, you can definitely see the bottom of the pulley. He's all corroded out. All right, so we have 2 bolts up top, maybe. All depends on what they put back in it. Yeah, so we have one there and one there. And there's going to be 2 up top, and we should be able to wiggle that engine back. And if we wiggle that back and that motor moves a little bit, then that motor will be good. If not, we still have the other engine that came out of it. We can go take a look at that. Either way, we're going to make an assessment. We got corrosion. That is on that case right there. That's all rotted away. And I got a bunch of other VW parts too. Worst case, we can sister a bunch of stuff together and put something together for this car. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Plus, you got to remember, back in 1986, even 1990, there's no internet around. It wasn't like you had the capacity to go Google the topic and see what comes up as far as swapping an engine. You had to go find somebody that knew that, ask them the question, and try to proceed forward. So if you were left to your own resources or your own intuition, I can see you definitely missing it. Right. I know you do not want to sit here and watch me turn this for the next 15 minutes. I'll bring it back. All right, let's give her a wiggle. Yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the ones that's been sitting so long. Either when they bolted the engine and trans together, they drew it in and the flywheel is just kind of jammed up against the bell housing, or just so much corrosion is around it, it can't move. So it's got to go back up in the air. I'm going to go put the nut on a little bit on this one. I got to go around with a pry bar, try to get it wiggling free. There's a weep hole between the engine and transmission. We should be able to get a pry bar in. Let's see, there it goes. I have one nut hand tight back on there holding it. Come on now, you think I was going to just drop it? All right, let's get it back down on the ground, get that thing out of there finally. I'll put up a little bit of a fight. Yeah, it looks like, so this material that you see right here, this is aluminum from the bell housing. This steel flywheel, it'll actually chew its way right through and make a good clearance on its own. You could actually put the engine in while you're doing it with a wrench on the front and turn it back and forth, and these will just grind and clear the bell housing away. And you can see where it's rubbing. That and all the corrosion on top of it that happened later. Let's go check out the transmission. Yeah. So, on top of the corrosion, so these would be ground down here, here. I do not see it, and up in here is a couple of places. Essentially, you get real close to the bosses on these bolts, and they are still standing proud. Let's get a light on there. I'm looking at right there and right there. You can actually almost see where the teeth were chomping into it. All right, let's go see what we got for a flywheel and then make sure it's a 12 volt flywheel. So I went and grabbed the 12 volt flywheel, and as you can see, you can't even really get it into the hole where the teeth are and how close it is to the bell housing all the way around, and how much you would have to clear it. It's not much, but you do have to clear. You can see like right there where that tab is at the starter, that would have to get ground away. All right, so let's go get the flywheel, or at least the clutch, off of here. We'll put them back to back and see if that's a 6 or a 12. So we go apples to apples here. They are the same size. There's your problem. Yeah, definitely see it's gone underwater a couple of times. It's still wet right now. So that at least answers the question why it was stopped, why it couldn't go any further. It had a 12 volt flywheel on it and going into a 6 volt trans that was never cleared. And then it just sat for so long. Unfortunately, the weather may have really taken its toll on it. I have a feeling it was probably even underwater the back of the car certain times of the year. But the big question is, will it turn? Let's go get something to go throw on that pulley and see if that motor will spin for us. Place your bets. I'm going to give it 10%. What's your thoughts? Took it off the jack so it doesn't want to roll around quite as easy. Still kind of rocking on us, but see what we get. Yeah, I was not expecting much. That's not turning, that's the ratchet going. Yeah, she's locked up. I would think that either water got into the cylinders or just a lot of corrosion in them. I know we're this far. Let's go do an autopsy on it. We'll tear it down, see what it looks like. There's a slight chance it can be used over, but that corrosion that I showed you in the very beginning on the bottom of the case there, what was all rotted away, I got better engines. But let's just keep going on this one, see what it looks like. It popped up in the stand, a little easier to work with. So I'm going to dig down to the cylinder heads, and to do that, there's a bunch of sheet metal on a VW engine. A VW engine is air cooled. There's a fan behind here, draws air in and goes across the cylinders and exits out the bottom. That's what all this tin is that is on here. That's got to come off. There's the fan right there. So for the fan housing, it's going to have screws on each side that are missing. The strap has to come off the generator, and then there is a thermostat underneath that has to get unbolted so the thing can lift off. Wouldn't say there's much holding that on. There you go. That's the thermostat right there. And it's got Probably the most valuable part of the whole engine right there. They're getting hard to come by original ones. They make aftermarkets, so not as good though. And hopefully that'll unthread off the rod. Not twisting the rod. The rod crapped out. Rotten stuff, I tell you. Might be loose enough to get it. If not, I might have to go with a wrench underneath and keep it from spinning. You just got to slide that band back. Nobody was living in there for a while, huh? Yeah, definitely wasn't going to have much of an air cooling capacity. There's your problem. All right, so we want to get the intake off. Hopefully we can dig out this couple of 10 millimeters down in here. If we get an air gun, we'll blow some of that crap out. All these tins are shot anyway. Dig them out. There is Right. Yeah. Can't even see the spark plugs. Right. We can give them a little bit of a shot to try and save them, but I have a feeling they're pretty much going to be done. Unfortunately, that's the easy one because this one's on an angle. You can't get in there with a straight socket. You have to get in there with a either a wrench or a swivel. So we get on this. Binds up against the swivel. There's not much room. And this is actually, the other side's even worse. Turn up, there you go. The other side, this part of the elbow is even tighter. So that one's the suckiest one of them all. That one right there. You know why I got that off? Does it show? You weren't getting a wrench on it. a little at a time. You chisel into it, get it to spin, chisel into it, get it to spin, and finally it loosens up where it came off. We should be able to just give it a wiggle from the carburetor. Look at how stuck they are on the sides. That one's moving. This one is too. Yeah, that wasn't looking too good down the hole. Rust coming out of it. I'll go grab a light. Yeah, that's anything of indication of things to come. Those cylinders are going to be kind of scaly. All right, let's get these tins out of the way, and we should be able to blow off all the crap and try to get to the cylinder head hardware. I have a strange feeling we're not going to have to do any or much screw removal. Just a hunch. I don't know what gives me that hunch, but yeah. Well, there you go. Off. Next. And side number 2. Come on, don't make me look bad. Fine, I'll hit you with a pry bar. I was thinking these two were so rotted out they were going to fall right off. But apparently one of them is still there. They're junk. Don't worry, they're junk. And those screws are not coming out. How do I know? I know. Off. Number 2. Well, it definitely looks like it's supported a family of critters for 30 some odd years. Yeah, there's spark plugs. There's one. You can see one. Be another one right about there. You're never going to get them out in the car and shoot some oil down the cylinders to get it to spin. All right, so I'm going to take a shot vac, get a bunch of that crap off of there, and then we'll get the valve covers off and see what we got. See if, you know, again, if there's water even in it. Plus, we could pop the drain plug real quick now too before we get the heads the rest of the way off. Let's see if we can get the goo out of her. See what we get. Again, I think it was in water, so I would suspect it. But you never know. Perfectly clean oil comes out, right? Nothing. Gotta tilt it. And nothing. It could be that the oil strainer is so clogged up that nothing is coming through. There's a strainer, that's the filter right there. It's got a piece of screen on it. let's go take those off, pop that plate off, and see if we get anything else under the screen. It might be just so, yeah. It might be just so gummed up nothing comes out of it, or there's nothing in it at all. Screws are out. See if we get anything out of her. Why didn't the oil come out? I don't know. That may have something to do with it. And I am seeing a couple of drips of what I suspected. That is the clearest looking oil I've ever seen. Because that oil, let's go poke a hole somewhere. Alright. And I bet you. What comes out is nothing but water. There you go. You're getting something happening. Let's go punch a hole through the goo. Oh. Yeah. That could be an issue. At least it had something in it. I had to stab a hole for it to start running. See if we can open up a little bit more passages in the crud. That's it? Is that all of it? That doesn't look like 3 quarts to me. Oh, wait a minute. Let's pick it up speed again. Man, it's like after Mexican, isn't it? Taco Bell pan going on there. Alright, so I'm going to let that pee out for a little bit, and then we'll get these valve covers off, take a peek, and see what the backside of the valves look like. Yeah, we're pretty much back to straight water again. It's not like it's salt water or anything, right? You can see all the corrosion on the case. I'm all sitting underwater. Probably looks like the way the pulley's rotted out here. Of course, it hasn't turned, so you know that's, I would say, probably is our water line. And I'd say probably about right here. And of course, you know, the car was leaning down on an angle. Probably went something like that. Kind of looks like a line right there, right? Right there. Across and up. Alright, let's go get a valve cover off. Let's go pitch her up a little bit, so in case there's anything in here, we'll kind of want to run backwards. And, oh boy. Yeah, that's not looking too healthy. When the mold is growing on your gaskets. Alright, I'm going to get the one off the other side. We'll take a peek at that. Then we're going to get this rocker assembly off. It's just 2 nuts right here. And then we got 8 head studs all the way around. More than likely, the cylinders are not going to want to come off the cylinders. It's just aluminum against steel. It's usually a problem on a good engine. This one, with all the corrosion, I have a feeling is really going to go fight us. So we're probably going to might have to smash some stuff off, but we'll see. But first, let's give her a quick spin, see what comes out. If anything, out of the push rod tubes. Nothing. And the other side. She's fine. How it's supposed to look. Could be worse. Yeah, sure. I have never seen a VW engine with that much sludge. I've seen them with sludge. I'm going to show you what I mean. I've never seen it where this valley right here has had that much crap sitting on the bottom of it. I don't think that's just from the weather too, being underwater. I think that was just from non-maintenance. That's literally just dirt. It's turned back into dirt. Dinosaur dirt. Alright, let's go get... Start playing into poop. Let's go get all the head studs off the top and see if we can get one of the heads to pop off. That one's hot. Just saying. Woo. I can get those washers off of there and we'll get a mallet and start the beatings begin. Still pooping. Normally I would not beat it with a brass hammer, but again, I don't think we're gonna have much to save on this one. We may have to up the ante. Yeah, they're gonna be pretty frozen. Yeah, they're not looking too good. There's definitely going to be some stuck pistons. Could you have possibly gotten them? You know, it was a very rare engine, and you wanted to, possibly you could have soaked the whole thing, but she's locked up pretty bad. You weren't going to get those heads off. Like I said, they seal right around here, and what happens is there's a bit of a lip, and then in the cylinder head, the corrosion builds up, so that's all the way down, and then the corrosion builds up behind it because it's aluminum. You can see all the scratch marks where it was trying to come away from. You can't really get a puller on them. It's too bad too. It probably was a good engine before all this happened. But you know, it's just done now. There's really nothing redeemable about it. The block has got so much corrosion on it that you wouldn't want to use that block over. That right there, that's getting pretty bad. The bolts that hold it together, there's not even anything left of. There's a big boss that kind of comes out of here and back down again. All that's missing. Looks something like that, but even that's gone. So you couldn't really even take this case apart and use it over again, unless it was something super rare. But it's not. It's just a, what is it, a 1500? So all the goo that was in her. Too bad. I'll try beating the cylinders off. I think at this point I'm beat. I got my workout, and you know, there's really nothing salvageable. Maybe the dipstick. That's really going to be about it. Maybe the distributor, possibly. The rest of it's just cooked. They are just baked out of their mind. And I'd say it was probably, give it 50-50 between water and oil, and then whatever that lumpy stuff is on the bottom there. That's supposed to have oil flowing through it. There's supposed to be little ports in the side, little windows right there. They're supposed to have oil go through the center of it and draw up through that screen. Yeah, that's a screen, believe it or not. And we're back over by the car. And our next question is, did the transmission have that same face? Let's go put this on and see if it'll even rotate. It does. That's good. I guess we run the fluid out of that too, we can kind of get a better idea. But it does spin. I'm going to see if I can pop it in gear and see if it locks up. This is a shift coupler underneath where the rear seat would be. I have a feeling that's gone. It feels like it's not doing anything. But let's see. No, we're in gear. Good. Feels real mushy though. So I would suspect we could probably clean that up. Trans maybe, again, we don't know what the water level is, but you know, even looking at the corrosion that's in there, like the engine was stuck. Well, there was also the flywheel jammed on it, but you can see all this white corrosion too where the engine was stuck to it also. So water got in here and caused all this, you know. That's all part of that case. All the aluminum case here just rotted away. Bug transmissions are not that hard. Either one, engines and transmissions are not terrible to find. And we still have the other one. Let's go take a quick peek at the other engine that's on the pallet that was sitting in the car. See if that one turns. Now, I don't know if they just got this from something else or just the engine that was in the car. I don't know. Let's go see if... Oh, removed a hair. She's got some... She's got somebody living in the fan. So we won't screw with that anymore until we get this one apart. But that will probably be our savior. We'll probably end up going... Sorry, I kicked you. We'll probably go with this one. This one seems like it's going to have a much better outcome than trying to deal with what was left of that one. I think this one is 6-volt. It looks like a 6-volt generator that's on it. And then we can kind of leave everything the same. Looks like they plugged rags in one of them anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I believe this is going to be a 40 horse. All right. I think I have another 40 horse for parts, because 40 horse is like a bastard motor. The only 40 horse stuff fits on a 40 horse. You can't take a flywheel off another one, put it on it. So, but we'll deal with that another day. Yeah, it's got critters living on it too, huh? Well, guys, no one more than me wanted to get that engine running and do my little giggle when she fires over, but it just wasn't in the cards. It wasn't going to happen. Well, we've got an assessment of what we had, and that's kind of what I was looking for. If it was going to be a good engine, we could have gone through and cleaned it up. I would have started chasing down all the tins and pieces and parts and engine gasket sets and whatever else we needed for it, but that one is just too far gone. So we have others. The other one looks promising. That 40 looks promising. I have some upstairs too that are good candidates that came out of a stash that we grabbed the 68 Beetle 4 or 5 years ago, and it came with a bunch of motors, so maybe a couple of them might be good. The car itself is pretty decent. These guys are laughing at me right now. Oh, you West Coast guys, you don't know what we deal with. But I kind of like the look of this car. That's what's got me, just with the, I don't know what we want to call it. We were still trying to pick out names on the last video for that funky green color. And I kind of like the cars with a patina look to them. If you guys are familiar with my channel, Krusty, that's in a museum for a year. That's my style. Although this needs floors and those rockers that are going through, the heater channels actually look decent or repairable, which is rare. And the package tray in the back looks good. The well in the front looks fine. Just the critters got to her. She's probably a nice car when it came over from California. It's probably fairly decent, and just Mother Nature took her toll. But again, it's got heater channels in it, which is rare. Usually they're just absolutely gone. It's got studded snow tires. They were ready for winter anyway. There's any old information on it. Got a date or anything on there? And I'm not sure what the original color was. I guess it's gonna be that, like a silver. And it looks like they went to red, then the green, and then everything started falling off. So, alright guys, with that, I'm going to go sign off. I think we're done. We've done enough damage for today. I may or may not continue with doing some more filming on this. I'm not sure. I just have some a bunch of other stuff coming in that I want to jump on to, but I want to get an idea just what we had. So now we know, not much. Alright guys, with that, thanks man.